Hey guys, Scott here. I think we need to have a little talk. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. So yesterday I posted a video about how it's kind of lame how the new killer came out and I just can't really enjoy them because every time I play the killer, basically no matter what, 1 and 2 of my games have someone disconnect the second they get hit with the power before any perks are even utilized or realize what they are. People just get hit by the circle and disconnect. And that has been happening in legitimately half of my games, and I thought, well, that's lame. I was finally excited for new content in the game, and I can't even enjoy it now, so that sucks. That was basically the whole point of the video. Now, I expected there to be a couple of people in the comments that are going, well, that's because he's better than Nurse, he's S++ tier, he's uncounterable, there's nothing you can do, he's the most overpowered kill in the entire game, blah, blah, blah. You know, I expected that, you know, a subset of comments like that, because of course, they're just always there no matter what the killer is. I did not expect there to be so many people that were not only accepting of disconnecting about this, but actively encouraging the idea of just simply not playing the game when something suddenly becomes not fun for you. That is alarming to me. I think that type of mindset, to use a harsh word, I legitimately believe it's a cancerous mindset to have because it kind of mimics that in the sense that it might not be noticed at first, but it spreads subtly through everything. And by the time you realize it's happening, it's too late and the damage has been done. Like, legitimately, I think this is such an incredibly harmful mindset to have. And here's the thing, it's not even done maliciously. Like, I'm not even saying a lot of these people that have been commenting are like mean or like mean-spirited or anything like that. A lot of the comments that people wrote were kind of like coming from a place of benevolence. It's just super, super misguided benevolence, in my opinion. For example, some of the comments are like, it's a video game. The point of it is to have fun. If you're playing against something you don't find fun, you're absolutely entitled to leave. It's your client. Or if you hated Batum and wanted DC, then go for it. I personally would not mind that, and I actually encourage it. I wouldn't see that as you being entitled and ruining my match. If you're not having fun, then just get out of there. It's better for everyone. Or it's a game. It's supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun, don't play. Go next on a bad map. It's your time. Enjoy it. So these are comments that people actually supported and liked. And I was going to have an aneurysm like reading this. I cannot believe that people are like actually genuinely supporting that. I need to go over why that is such a horrible mindset to have in an online game. The advice you guys are giving is for a single player game. If you're hitting a stone wall on Elden Ring, you can't beat Promised Consort Radahn, and you're getting pissed off and not having fun anymore, then yeah, close the game, Alt F4 it, go do something else. You're not negatively impacting anyone. That's great advice. That is a good idea. You should go do something else because, again, you're not negatively impacting anyone. Or even in DBD, you play a really boring match and you close the game before going into another one. That's also great advice. That's something you absolutely should do. If you're having a bad time, then stop playing the game. That's great advice. But no, what people are suggesting is whenever something unfun happens each match, you are entitled to just say fuck it and abandon it and ruin the game for everybody every single time. That is insanity. Why is this so like accepted? Again, it's not exactly a majority in the comments, but there was an alarmingly high amount of people saying this. So I'm going to spend this whole video going over why that is such an incredibly bad mindset to have for the game. So here's the thing. Let me go over an analogy. If this happened in real life, for example, let's say it's 2008 again. I'm back in high school and 5 of my friends want to play basketball. And it's a 3v3 game. We're playing for 2 minutes. I take a shot and I miss it. And I go, this isn't fun anymore. And I throw the ball down and I just fucking leave. I would be made fun of and shamed for the rest of my time at high school. Rightfully so. Basically, I'm asking, where did the shame in ruining the game for everyone else go? Like, where did that whole element go? Where did the whole sportsmanship thing go? That just doesn't appear to exist anymore. Everyone now believes they are the center of the universe, and the only thing that matters is their fun. And it's funny because a lot of these people, again, are coming from a place of benevolence where they're like, hey, man, if you're not having fun, just, you know, go do something else. Just fuck off. Abandon everybody. But they don't mean that. What they really mean is when I'm not having fun, I get to go abandon everybody and fuck off. You guys have to deal with it. You have to stay. But I am the center of the universe. I'm allowed to do that. People are not really saying if you're not having fun, then just, you know, you're allowed to abandon everybody. They're saying if I'm not having fun, I get to abandon it. Because here's what happens. If everybody decides whenever they're not having fun, they get to just abandon the match and ruin it for everybody, the game becomes completely unplayable. Thankfully, the majority of players are not like that, and they do have some level of sportsmanship, because there's a lot of unfun shit on this game on both sides, and most people, I would say, unfortunately not a big enough majority, but most people do stick it out in that scenario. If everybody leaves whenever they're not having fun, the game, you can't play the game anymore. For example, the guy, again, super nice. He's saying, hey man, if you're not enjoying Batum and you want to DC, I wouldn't blame you for it. You should blame me for it, because if everyone just disconnects, even on the killer side, whenever they get a map they just don't like, as a survivor, half of your hours in DBD will just be sitting in queue. You'll go to a match, you'll load into Larry's, and the killer's playing Billy, and he's gonna go, I'm not doing this. And then the match just ends. And that'll happen like half of your matches. Like, how are people not seeing you would not be able to play the game? And you might go, okay, well, you know what? I'm only going to do that for the really unfun things. But again, that's inherently flawed and makes you assume that you're the center of the universe and are the sole determining king of what is unfun in the game. What if somebody doesn't find Hillbilly fun, or Wesker, killers that, you know, you would think most people do find fun? What if that's their Vecna too, and they hate going against those killers? So 3 players load in, they're like, oh, nice, it's a Wesker, I'm gonna have fun. And then some guy goes, oh, nope, I don't like Wesker, and then ruins your game. Like, why are you encouraging that? You don't get to determine what is fun or not fun for everybody. Again, it's this weird mindset where everyone just, for some reason, believes that they are the center of the universe and they're the ones that determine it. All this advice is great for single-player games, but when you enter a game with other players, there's a contract that you're, like, not a literal contract, it's a social contract that you're gonna play the game out. That's just... I have played so many online games over the years, and I can't think of a single other online game I have played where people are so okay with just fucking off the second something becomes not fun. That is absolutely wild to me. And I will admit, there have been things in DBD's past, like Chess Merchant and stuff like that, where I've understood and even encouraged people to DC against it, where there's like, you know, an hour-long server timeout. But these are torturous, extreme, ridiculous examples of people on the killer side not even wanting to just have their own fun. They are trying specifically to torture people. That is like a different scenario than someone going, oh, hey, Vecna came out, I want to play him. They're not trying to torture you. They just want to play the new shiny toy. There's a massive difference between these types of scenarios here. But even then, I completely understand the need to, like, say, well, you shouldn't have said that. And even that's fine. That's completely okay. The whole point of all of this is people need to realize that you cannot have this mindset and expect other people to not have this mindset. Because if you have the mindset and no one else does, it's fine. Your fun is preserved. You can just leave whenever you're not having a good time. When everyone has that mindset, then everyone can leave at any point that someone is not having fun. And like I said, if that was the true majority mindset, the game would be completely unplayable unless you got the exact perfect example of a map that is kind of universally liked, with a killer that's universally liked, with perks that are universally liked. Like, you'd have like 1 in 15 games where everyone's actually happy and they don't just leave at the first sign of not having fun. That's the problem. To go a bit more into it, I want to just go over some comments and specifically address the entire comment, because I think that will help people maybe understand stuff I might not have explained or something like that. So there's a giant one here that I wanted to go over because it was very impassioned, but I feel like I disagreed with every single thing that they said. So I'm going to go through it by point. Number 1, if survivors are happy to take lengthy DC penalties rather than play against Vecna 2, it tells you everything about how much we hate this killer. So here is the issue. The issue is they're not taking lengthy DC penalties. That's, in fact, one of my entire points about that whole video. Because, like I said, if you are able to play, like, 10 games and then reset your disconnect meter or whatever, and you have 4 players per game that you can go against, that means almost every other game you can have someone disconnecting with no penalty whatsoever. So, in fact, the reason that people are so emboldened to do it is because they're not penalized to do it. They do get freebies, and like I said, if you cycle that in, due to how random, correlation works, it's possible for you to have 3 games in a row where everybody disconnects and not a single person receives any penalty whatsoever. That's how random numbers like that can work. So that's not actually what's happening. If they were getting huge DC penalties, I don't think they'd be doing it as much. It's the very fact that they are not that emboldens people to just say, yeah, fuck it, I'm just not going to play this. 2, truth is in the detail. All your clips show you having World Ender and a down before a gen is even touched. I mean, he just made that up. That's just not true. In every single one of the examples, there were generators being worked on. I think what he meant to say was before a gen is completed, which means his criteria is you can DC if you get it down before a gen pops, which is asinine, crazy shit. Survivors don't want free wins. They want a sense of competition in a close game. I agree. Vecna games end before a single gen is done. Again, complete bullshit. In fact, in the B-roll is the game I lost on Larry, so enjoy watching that. So that's just completely not true. Survivors have to learn about 40 killer powers. Let's say an average 2 counters per killer. 80 counters has Survivor has to learn compared to the general Survivor play, and a few meta perks a killer has to learn. Another complex power needing a godlike counterplay to last even 30 seconds is not enjoyable. So that's just, again, not true. Vecna is not complicated at all. He's mechanically maybe difficult to aim with, but he's an extremely simple killer. The counterplay to Vecna is maintaining as much distance as possible because he's slow. And when he is in range to hit you, maintaining distance but moving a bit erratically. That's it. Again, I'm not going to sit here and go, man, that's exciting counterplay. I'm not even going to say for a lot of people that he's fun. I think he's fun to go against, but I completely understand people that are not a fan of doing 50-50s over and over again. And that's fine. I'm not even arguing that. But the whole thing is he's not complex at all. He's very, very simple, and the counterplay is effective, though boring. So that's fine. Like, if you just want to say he's, boring to go against, that's, I think, a fair complaint, and I'm not even going to argue with that. But to sit there and say some crazy trigonometry requiring complex thing, he's not. Just run erratically in a straight line away from him. Slap on sprint burst, you win. Slap on overcome, you win. Slap on, there's so many things you can do to make him just unable to actually down you. And I guess people can't see it. I've had people do it against me, and it works just fine. So I don't know. No one jumps on Nurse and is insta-good. It takes hours learning the killer. Practice people don't hound Nurse because at least the skill is earned. So I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions. I think Nurse is one of the most overrated killers in the entire game for how difficult she is to play. I think Nurse is significantly easier than Vecna 2. I don't even think it's close. Because with Nurse, here's the scenario. Let's say someone runs to the corner of Shack against both these killers, and then they run behind Shack. Now, as Vecna 2, I need to make a blind shot there. I need to assume, is he going to sit at the corner? Do I aim at the corner? Is he going to keep hugging the wall? Do I need to aim like more towards the Shack window instead? Or is he going to go wide and maybe try to actually leave the Shack? I basically have 3 different points I need to guess at which they're going to go. With Nurse, I don't have to do any guessing. I blink once at the last line of sight blockage, and then I look around. Oh, he didn't go anywhere. He's trying to double back. I hit him. He's going towards window. I blink that way. I hit him. He's leaving the loop. Okay, I blink that way and I hit him. In every scenario, a good Nurse hits you there. With Vecna, I have a 1 in 3 chance. Now, a lot of the frustration for people comes from the fact that Nurse has to have a 3-second cooldown per blink charge. So if she blinks twice, she has to wait 6 seconds rather than the 3 seconds that Vecna has to wait. But Vecna is less likely to hit somebody compared to Nurse. So it's just equal trade-off in a different way. Vecna is less punished for missing, but Nurse, it's way easier to actually get the hit. So it's not like there's an imbalance there. They're kind of just the same level of action. So I don't understand that argument at all. If you only enjoy DBD when a new toy comes out every 3 months, that would imply you hate the general gameplay and hate playing Survivor. Why are you even playing DBD? So there's no general gameplay on killer unless you're just not using a power. Every killer plays completely differently, so there's no such thing as general gameplay, because like I said, every killer has a different mode of gameplay, and they're just going to play completely differently. So yes, when a new killer comes out, we want to play the new thing because, yeah, you would get tired because there is no general gameplay. We want to play whatever the new shiny toy is. We're not trying to torture people. There's a new killer. We want to play the new content. Just like when there's new survivors, you guys would prefer playing the new survivor. You're not going to get your perks and put them back on your default Dwight. You're probably going to play the new survivor for a bit. When there's new shiny stuff, people want to play it. That's not some crazy concept, and that applies to everybody. Also, as an aside for why am I playing too, my house. I like living in a house. That's also nice. Vecna's pay to win. Vecna's difficult to counter. A good argument is to play as Vecna to learn about his gameplay and learn how he works so we'll learn about more counters. So our Vecna's locked behind a paywall. This argument applies to every killer in the game. That doesn't... I don't even know how to address that by saying he's pay to win, he's difficult to counter, and the only way to learn how to counter is playing him himself. That goes for every strong killer in Dead by Daylight that you'd have to buy. What? Okay, you want to learn how to go against Ghoul, you gotta buy Ghoul. It's the same argument. Like, that doesn't even fucking make any sense. If survivors can't gauge whether the circle hit them or not because of a lack of skill due to the broken physics of the game, there should not be a killer power like this in the game. I mean, I can agree with that, but unfortunately, we'd have to remove about 80% of the killers in Dead by Daylight if that's how you wanted it to work. Because every killer obeys the same pill hitbox mechanics. Every single one in Dead by Daylight. They all obey the exact same rule set. And yeah, you'd have to delete basically every projectile. You'd have to delete M1s from the game because you can hit people in the air behind them, and that's tail still technically hitting their hitbox. So you're basically advocating for deleting most of the killers in the entire game and removing the ability to physically attack people, which is, again, absolutely ridiculous. Survivors make up 4 out of 5 of your match. Keep trashing Survivor concerns and complaints, but ultimately drive away Survivor players with killer-sided changes after changes, S-tier killer after S-tier killer. He's not S-tier. Then you don't have a game anymore. It's kind of funny that you kind of worded the argument in that way, because really what would be worse is a killer leaving, because for every 4 survivors, there's 1 killer, which means a killer leaving the game is 4 times as impactful as a survivor leaving the game. So if anything, this argument is working in the complete opposite direction. You would want to keep as many killer players as possible because they are, again, 4 times as important in terms of filling up a lobby as a survivor player. So again, that point makes absolutely no sense. First time I've ever seen killer mains complain so much after receiving a killer that guarantees 4Ks, and you say survivor entitlement. Why don't survivors want to play with me? So somebody DC'd. Big whoop. You still get the 4K. Why are you complaining? You don't care about the win, you say. You don't want a guaranteed win. Then why are you playing so aggressively to get a 4K before first gen? Why are you even playing Vecna? There's so much to unpack there. I don't even know where to fucking start. First of all, the killer doesn't guarantee 4Ks. I'll just say that. I have lost several times with Vecna by people that actually know what they're doing. So that's just already incorrect. It's not like you just pick Vecna and instantly win. He's weaker than Nurse and Blight. He's not S tier. Like, these are just all things that are just completely not true. So somebody DC'd big whoop. You still get the 4K. Why are you complaining? Because I would prefer to win, but I want to earn the win. What you're basically suggesting is that it's like, I use this analogy a lot. It's like going into Skyrim and just typing TGM, which is God mode, and then just instantly killing everything. That's not fun. There needs to be some resistance. I need to earn the win. I would not play Dead by Daylight if I would just guarantee to win every single time. The game would be boring as shit. That's basically what cheating is. Like, that's just incredibly boring. I don't think anybody in the game wants a free anything. And that's one of the biggest, I think, misnomers that survivors say about killers and killers say about survivors. They only care about escaping. They only care about 4K. No, they want to have fun and earn those things. Nobody just wants it delivered for free. So that is just a complete, just false statement entirely. You hate how people are DCing when you play Vecna. Play someone else then. 40 killers to choose from. Fellas, is it weird to want to have new content come out and then play the new content? Wholly disagree with stricter DC penalty. It's already broken enough. There's to prevent hackers from taking people hostage. Except they can't really do that anymore because you can just abandon after 10 minutes. That doesn't exist anymore. Can't force people to play a game. That I agree with. If you find people DCing against you when you play a certain killer, just don't play that killer. When new things come out, just don't use it. Just keep playing Trapper until you die. That's excellent. You state in a scenario where the killer is torturing 4 survivors, you should be allowed to DC. I think that was talking about like the chess merchant example where they weren't even trying to win. They're just trying to time the server out, because I do consider that being torture, yes. Maybe you haven't considered that survivors by playing against Vecna torture. If you think that playing against this killer, who's admittedly a bit boring, is the same thing as a killer who delays the game so long that the server times out and you lose because of that, you are just, I know, it's ridiculous, buddy. You are so disingenuous that it's honestly ridiculous to even further a conversation. Why don't you play or main Trapper or Hag or Skull Merchant? Because they're unfun. Bingo. It's because they're old. You say players should not be allowed to DC because they find the killer they're facing unfun and they should be punished. So we should punish killer players who never play Trapper, Hag, etc. Why force survivors to play unfun games, but killers are never forced to play unfun games? What the fuck are you talking about? Here's me being forced to play an unfun game. I am playing Hillbilly. I get Larry's. I am now not having fun. I was forced into that scenario. What are you talking about? That happens all the fucking time. Half the maps doom the killer you're playing. You're saying we should just be able to leave every single time that happens? No. Keep DCing survivors who hate this killer and the killer entitlement. It tells the killer community which killers we're disgusted with and are prepared to ruin 50% of your games. It also tells behavior to nerf that. I see what this is. So it's okay to DC there because it'll tell people to nerf the killer. So we're actually doing the game a service. So we're going to make the killer not strong, like super strong anymore, and people will enjoy going against it. I'm trying to think of another scenario where we had a killer where there's lots of DCs. I think there's a killer called the Ghoul where we had that, where a lot of people disconnected against them. And look how we are now. Everybody loves the Ghoul now. Like, dude, what are you saying? Look, a lot of this is just exhaustion and exasperation. I have never said that I don't value people's opinion on finding the killer unfun. I just said I personally think he's fun to go against. I enjoy it. But I never, discounted anyone else that finds him to not be fun. There was a strangely high amount of people arguing in my comments saying, well, why don't you think he's unfun and stuff like that? I completely support your opinion to have that. That's completely fine. I'm not arguing that the killer is fun or is not fun to you. I'm arguing that just because you find something unfun doesn't give you the right to ruin the game for everybody else involved. And for some reason, that was perceived as a hot take. Again, I feel like this is the only gaming community in existence where that is considered a hot take. You try this in any other game community, you're banned, you're put in a lever queue, you're shamed in some way. DBD is like the only game that doesn't do that. So I don't know what it is about this community that attracts so many people that have convinced themselves they are the only entity in the universe and they're the only ones that matter. But it's crazy how many people have deluded themselves into thinking that everyone should have the mindset that if they're just simply not having fun, leave the match, because that's not what you're saying. You're saying that you can leave. When you're having a bad time, you can go, but you don't want anybody else to do that, because if they did, the game would be unplayable, and thank God that that's not the case. It's just so disappointing to see this. I can't believe how disappointed I am in people having that mindset. It's just, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not mad at people because a lot of people are being really nice about it and they're coming from a good place. I'm just so disappointed that that is such a commonly accepted thing. And I don't know, man. Here's what's going to happen. If Behavior does decide to nerf the killer, who is just teetering on being dog shit, he is one change away from actually being a terrible killer. The only thing that makes him good is the speed at which he can use his power. Once they take that away, he becomes straight up not a good killer anymore. So when we have that happening, you're probably going to see less of this killer, which we're already seeing less of this killer, by the way. The pick rate has already plummeted because despite what a lot of Survivor players that have never touched the killer a single time said, the killer's actually not easy to play. He's one of the harder killers to play. Again, he's not very punishing if you miss, but it's somewhat difficult to aim that power. So what's going to happen is if they make the killer unplayably bad or whatever, which they very well might do, if they do that, okay, have some more ghouls again. You're just gonna have the same shit, and the same argument is gonna keep being boiled down to, okay, but not this killer. Oh, but not this killer, but not this killer, but not this killer. DC, 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 DC. To the point where there's 7 killers left people won't DC against. That's why that mindset cannot be the prevailing mindset of the community, because it's a slippery slope and it's based off of subjective declarations of what is fun. What you might find fun, other people might not find fun, and vice versa. And if everybody is being selfish, then nobody gets to actually play the game. So I don't know what else to say here. I was straight up disgusted and embarrassed to read so many people having this mindset. You can disagree with it if you want. I've never been part of a game community that is so vehemently in support of signing up to a game and accepting ruining it for everybody else. That is just, it's just a disgusting behavior. And there's even people saying that by playing Vecna, I am trying to ruin the game for everybody else. I'm trying to ruin everyone else's fun, which is fucking asinine. I am playing him because he's new. That's it. I just,